at home.
For the fans. For the players. For the big plays. Firebirds Weekly. This week's guest is head coach and general manager Damon Ware.
Welcome to another edition of Firebirds Weekly, the end of season 1. My name is Adam Samarov, and I have my co-host Chris Ipperly on the end, and in the middle, the head coach and the general manager of your 2025 Arena Crown champion Albany Firebirds, Damon Ware. Damon, welcome to the show. How are we doing this evening?
It's nice to be back. Actually just got back from vacation, so I'm recharged the battery. I'm excited. I'm ready to roll, and got a lot of football coming up, but it was a great way to end the season this year.
Where did we go to vacation?
Went down to Myrtle Beach.
There we go. I think I know somebody at this table that's going to Myrtle Beach.
Leaving on Monday. Great, beautiful place.
I had a blast, and the battery's recharged. So
excellent.
It's good.
Excellent. And you're starting camp for Hudson Valley as well, coming up next week after. Pretty soon here.
First is the official date of camp, so a lot of stuff going on, a lot of meetings and stuff. Just actually had a meeting this evening, getting the offense ready to go for this season. So a lot of exciting things happen there at Hudson Valley as well. So yeah, like I said, it's a busy time, but thank God I love what I do.
We have a chance, wanted to get you on, right after the championship game, but obviously you needed to recharge the batteries and finally, get you to come on, be able to come on and talk about it. But just overall, I mean, obviously, winning a championship is something that not everybody gets to do. Take me through, your, now that you've had a couple of weeks to kind of think about it, talk about, getting the job done a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I got through with the championship game. Obviously, it was super fun and exciting that night. And then by the next day, I don't know if it just still hasn't hit me right or it was just me thinking about next year. It's a crazy thing. When you've had a lot of success, it's just sometimes you just think it's business as usual, but super exciting because this, brand needed one. Haven't had a championship since 1999. So we've got another one. I can't wait to see the design of the championship ring because it's needed that. Like I said, I have all these rings with other brands on them, and it just doesn't feel right as much as I love this brand to not have had one in that brand name. So super excited to add another one to the collection. Like I said, hopefully that'll be one of many. I know we'll keep coming back year after year competing for a championship, but you just never know when you're going to win them. So it's super exciting. But just like I said, it's just kind of taking it all in on vacation and just thinking about just all the success that we've had here since I've been here. And it's a great feeling to know how hard we work here, how much this organization loves being here, and just all the people that it takes to win. And it's really a good feeling to know that we compete for a national championship every single year.
So in terms of the ring, where do you guys stand with it in terms of the design phase?
I asked that, I was with one of the owners last week before I went on vacation, and they showed a couple of designs, but they were very preliminary. There's still other designs that are being made. So I don't know the exact design. And kind of, like I said, in 22, it kind of went through this phase too. And then what finally came out was just incredible. But so, like I said, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I know it'll be great. Our owners always, again, they take good pride in the championship ring. So it'll be excited to see it, obviously, whenever that comes out. But just to have this brand on it, I keep explaining it to people just how much it meant to go through everything that we had in the past, come back and rebrand and be this brand. And it just feels just so different. It's hard to explain, but we love this brand. We love how this brand has been embraced by the community. And so having a championship game with that brand on it just means so much to me. I can't wait to wear that ring in front of people, and it's our brand because this is the brand I absolutely love, and and again can't wait to make a few more of those. But for right now, it's just super special. Just super excited. It was just a great moment being here at home. Just all the storylines going into the last game. Facing a really good coach, a really good football team,
Mhm.
being here at home, being undefeated. We just had so many storylines, and I had a cinematographer kind of do a little video
Mhm.
of the championship and the moments, and it was just kind of funny is looking at it, doing our normal coaches meetings before the game in the locker room before we get dressed out and get
Mhm.
ready. And I talked about, hey, I just kind of envision this happening is, we're going to score, we're going to kick, I'm going to have Henry do a drop kick and then he's going to kick a deuce and it's going to be 10 points and it's going to be hard to overcome that.
Mhm.
And not crazy, we went a little bit backwards order
Right.
because we won the toss, but we scored. We did the drop kick and we had the deuce. And so it's just incredible just to kind of, and nobody would believe you if you ever say those things without proof. And so,
Right.
in our exit meeting, with Henry, I said, man, I just want to show you what we talked about before the game. Because when I told him to do the drop kick, he was like, already? Like, you don't do it this early in the game. And I was just like, do it.
Oh,
And
it was huge.
and so
Mhm.
the funniest part is I played that and it's just a surreal moment. It's just another one of those moments that you have just, in the memory of things. And I always have these really good feelings about certain people. I'll have I don't dream very much, but occasionally when I do dream, it's usually something that I know is going to happen. And so
Mhm.
I had some really good dreams about our football team leading up to the game. So I told the couple people that were in those dreams, hey, I know tonight's going to be your night and da 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 da. And it's just, I don't know if it's any special power or whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
is those people have those games. And it's just such a surreal feeling. And so it was just cool to have that on video so I can go back and say, I knew this was going to happen. And we talked about it before the game and then it all came to fruition. So all of those storylines going to the game were just, it was super fun, but just to celebrate in front of your fans and that's the culmination just, in the video of just when they poured, the cooler over, Coach C and I,
Mm.
and we're in that embrace. It's the epitome of him and I have been through so much this past year, being at Hudson Valley
Mhm.
together, hiring him on, and just ending the moment. It just like I said, it's just such a special thing. It's so important for me to bring on the next generation of coaches, and so all of our young coaches are doing such a good job. It just that's another part of this business that just doesn't get talked about. But at the NFL, they call it the tree.
Mhm.
I love to be able to, if that's the term we're going to use, I love to have my tree and start these young coaches off doing it the right way, and they can take all this stuff that we've learned and go on into their careers and have great careers. And again, I'll get to watch them someday when it's all over for me. Get to watch them continue on the stuff that I was able to show them. So just there's just so many surreal things about just the moment and like I said, being undefeated, it's something that it just doesn't happen often in your career ever. I really don't think I've, other than my first year coaching went undefeated.
Mhm.
I don't think there's another. So it's just like I said, I've been coaching for almost 30 years, and it just doesn't happen often. So just all of that was just so special. But the most important part was to celebrate all of that with the flock. There was just so many thank yous and congratulations and hugs and high fives and just blissful conversations just as a part of that, and it just seemed different than maybe some of the years past here. And I just think it's about this brand. It just something about it. The second that we brought this brand back out, it's just felt the right thing. And so here we are. We're champions, undefeated champions, and I just want to bring this back again. I mean, we just had such a good time, and so I'm already working on 2026. I guess that's just my problem is I'm already ready for
When
2026.
when does the league year begin for you to be able to do your first thing as a general manager?
So September 1st,
Okay.
obviously I'll be able to start re-signing the guys from our team, and just going through the exit interview process, it's this has been the most players who said it themselves that, coach, I don't want to play for anybody else. I want to, I want to be coached by you. I heard that a lot in the exit interviews, and that's just a special thing, is to get a bunch of group of men to build it the way I really wanted this team. And I just, it just goes back to losing that championship in 24. It really had me focus on myself. So me as the leader, what do I want this picture to look like? And I have to make the picture the way that I really want it, not leave things to chance, not, I'm okay tolerating this. It was, I want to do it as a very specific way. And so I really, like I said, I brought this team down to the studs. I said, all right, coaches, equipment managers, everybody, I want to make sure I'm surrounded with people that are going to work hard and people that I want to work with and I want to pour my time and energy into. And that's where it started. And the same with the players. I had a conversation with another coach, and there's an overused term that people use is, dogs. Say, oh my God, yeah, you just get a bunch of dogs and you can win. And I said, no, I don't agree with that anymore. And I said, there's a time where that conversation, maybe I would have entertained it, but I said, no, what I really want is guys that I can feel they'll buy in, and I feel that they've got the tools in the toolbox that I can manifest that into something better and I can develop them. And I said, so I don't want the guys that people think are dogs off the bat. I want to build them into what I see them to be. And so, we kind of went back and forth, and it was funny. A couple of days later, they called me back and they said, you know what, like, that conversation was phenomenal, and I think I really understand what you're saying, and you're probably right. And so that's what I went out to do this year. Is I wanted to be around guys that really love the game, that wanted to work hard, that wanted to be part of something special. And so this has been the funnest group of kids. It's, and there's been plenty of years. I don't want any of my, past players to feel like I didn't care about them, just say, but just as an assembled group, it was just such a together group. And I knew that in training camp. We were going to war, and I said, man, I know I picked the right guys.
I could see it in you in open practice.
Yeah.
Your body language is never bad, but you're like almost like a proud father in that open
Absolutely.
practice, because like last year was tough, real tough. And I really felt, from an outside looking in, it's like, you're happy.
Like I said, I knew it in camp that we did the right things. We took the right steps. We picked the right guys. Camp was as hard as it's ever been. Like I said, there wasn't maybe just a couple players that I didn't think came in their best shape or those kind of things, that those were easy to get rid of. But it was truly hard. From 35 guys getting down to 25. It was as hard as it's ever been. But it wasn't just the football. It was the way everyone came together. It was like everyone bought in within the first couple of days. You could see it. Everybody was bought in. They wanted to be together. They wanted to work together. And boy, I tell you, that created such a phenomenal football team. And so, obviously, again, we'll want to keep as many, guys together. It's always the tough thing is to go through the roster at the end of it and go over every individual player and just kind of self-scout the whole situation. And, did this player live up to expectations? Did they exceed them? Did they not live up to them? And all those things. And, there's times you're going to move on for some players. There's times players are going to move on and try to go other places. And so, this is the fun time though, but I will have a really good group of players that returns. And so from 24 to 25, we only kept 7 players. This year, I would imagine that we'd at least double that number, which will make for training camp to be very, very solid again next year, when you got guys that understand the culture, they understand how the coaching is going to be, and they can kind of lead the room. That's where you can really build a real special team. So I'm really looking forward to, once the official announcements come out and we can start doing our thing, it's going to be exciting. And then once free agency opens, they haven't announced that date just yet, but I'd imagine it'll be sometime probably October 1st, something around that area.
So you have time to resign your own guys first.
Yeah. It's always, you get to sign your guys first, and then free agency opens up and you can start really recruiting from everywhere. So there's just so much, this is my favorite time of year. I'll have All-Star game coming up in Miami in January. There's so much that between now and then that I just love the process. And so, but honestly and truly, I don't know. Either it hasn't hit me or I don't know if am I this used to this or I don't know, but I'm so ready for 2026 and I'm ready to redo this thing again. And so, it's just been a fun time.
Let's go back over 2025 here at the end. Just talked about winning the championship 60-57. Obviously, Nashville gave you guys a run. Obviously, just looking at some of the main characters, Sam Castronova with 7 touchdowns. He was the MVP for a reason. Isaiah Scott was the leading receiver for you guys in the championship game. Zeke and Harold, did their thing. The Romantics did their thing on defense. And then Henry, we talked about, like you said, that 10-point, start off and that kind of thing. Just when you're going through that game, you get to the third quarter, you guys are up by, a couple of touchdowns and they kind of make some changes in that. Just, take me through kind of that second half and just, okay, they're starting to make a run. You knew that was going to happen. Obviously they have a great coach and Coach Arbette, and they have a great, team and Tyler Culka at quarterback. Talk about just going through that second half and just going, okay, hey, we just got to adjust here and do we do and everything like that. Just talk about that for me.
Yeah, I mean, first off, again, Nashville has a great football team. I literally, in the first couple of weeks of the season, after they made some personnel changes, I sat in the coaches meeting and I said, we were just talking about just guesses on who who's going to be in the championship game. And so obviously we said us, but the other team that was, that I thought was Nashville. They have the right players. They had a good blend of young and veteran players, and they had a good coaching staff. And so anytime you put all that together, you can be special. And so really felt that, going into the game, like I said, it's always hard, like to face. I rather face coaches that I don't like. I don't know what it is. It just
I feel you.
Makes it easier.
And I'm transparent. So some people probably don't even understand what this means. But I just feel better going into the game where I just really dislike somebody because it makes me do all these little things to get ready for the game. And I get more hyped and pores are open and I'm sweating before the game and I love that feeling. And so when we're facing against somebody I really, really respect and I talk to on a regular basis, like, God, I don't dislike this guy. And, so I had to find ways to, where's my edge coming from? Well, there's a couple players I don't like. So, yeah, I'm like, let's direct our attention there. So, anyway, it was awkward leading up to the game because I do have a great deal of respect. Coach Arbette's been a great ambassador to the sport, great coach. He's done great things in his career. And so, at the end of the day, it's like, they're going to be good. So I didn't, for our players, it was, we've really got to get ourselves prepared to play 4 quarters. We know this is going to be probably one of the hardest games that we've had all year. So, and it was. I thought we started to take control of the game late in the second quarter. And
I agree.
So we wanted to score last. We wanted to kind of have this 14-point swing. So I think they were up. We came down and scored, got a stop, and we had about a minute to go. So we marched the ball down the field and get it and score it then. So
yeah, with a couple seconds left in the half. Yeah.
Yep. So going into halftime, it was, and some of the stuff that you just don't say to the players, but in the coaches' locker room, we were talking about, this could be that point because we are a second half team that we come out, we blow them out in the second half. Now, what changes are they going to make in the second half? Because again, this isn't like facing a poor football team. So we knew, hey, they're gonna come out. It's gonna be a chess game at least at the beginning of the third quarter, and then we're gonna figure out where each other are. So they came out. We came out. We scored, and then they came right down and scored, and then they made a change to their defensive front, and it gave us some fits. We went through about 3 drives that they were getting so much pressure that it really threw Sam's clock off. And, for people that just don't understand what that means, it's, when you get a lot of pass rush, your quarterback starts to have less faith that he'll be able to set his feet, go through his reads, and deliver the ball on time where the timing is. When you get sped up a little bit, you try to rush the process. So now my drop's going to be a little shorter. because I want to get there quick enough so I can throw the ball. So, and it throws off a bunch of timing. And so it's not something you never want to see your quarterback's clock sped up. And so we went through a little period. They made an adjustment, which I thought the funniest thing was another thing that I said, leading up to the game during the week. I said, hey, this guy is playing defensive end, but his get off is the best of any of the three down linemen. And I said, if they put him at nose, I think we'd have problems. And so the funniest thing is that's exactly what they did in the second half. And boy, it gave us a fit for a little bit. And so we had to regroup and work some things out in our protection. So we went about 3 drives. I mean, we took a safety. We'd had a couple of 3 and outs. We were in a struggle, and literally it was just you just got to work through those things. And so, just talking to Sam and, hey, relax. Like we just got to do it. What got us here. So settle down. We called, a play. They damn near got to Sam. He stepped up in the pocket, rolled out a couple times, and threw this 4th down play. And that was the play that got him back in rhythm. And so you just never know sometimes what these moments are going to be. And so his moment was that particular play. He probably broke away from probably 2 maybe sacks and threw the ball on a 4th down, and we were able to get the first down. And from that moment on, it was like, you're back. Let's keep this thing going. And then from there on, it was like that. Those couple drives never happened. And so that's the chess game, is just figuring out what they're going to do differently, what we're going to do differently, and then battling through those moments, and then executing. And that's what the game's all about. It's about execution. And so they did a phenomenal job. I give them credit, is they had us on the ropes, because they came back from a couple touchdown deficit and came back all the way to 3 points. And it took us on a 4th down that just as well could have been a sack, and them getting the ball and them taking the lead. We made the 4th down play, and then we never looked back. We scored every drive after that. So that was it was kind of a fun moment. It's just one of those turning points that you just will never forget, is that particular play got us back into the rhythm, and the rest was history.
And they even had, the Firebirds had some of that on defense as well, like Prince's sack, where he almost depletes Tyler Kolka.
I slowed it down today in the video we did.
That's
he was there 1 second and then not the next.
Yeah, we thought that he was going to be knocked out of the game.
I don't know how he
made it through. We really thought, and he went out and came right back in.
Yeah.
Tough kid, man.
But
tough as hell.
And Tyler's a great young man. I've talked to him for the last couple of years. We'd actually talked about him coming here, I want to say in 22, and then he went and played in Japan, and did a phenomenal job over there. So it's just funny, it's such a small world with good players, and just what happens in the game, inside the games. But he's a phenomenal player. He hung in there. He did a great job, and defensively, we like I said, we had our moments and we didn't, and they made some good adjustments, and he threw some very, very good balls. And like I said, it gets, like I said, you can never guarantee victory. You got to play 4 quarters, and that's one thing that I know about my football team, is that we'll play 4 quarters every single game. And so we played, had a little quarterback keeper. We knew again, obviously down inside the red zone, they would figure us, we're going to run to the field. Everybody slanted towards the field, and Sam kept the ball and went backside, and it was just a real easy, simple touchdown. And then, like I said, just they got one more touchdown, just kind of to make it look a little bit better at 3 points. But what a phenomenal game it was. That was the kind of game us as a league we needed. That much excitement, that back and forth, that really does resonate with the fans, and that's what really championship games should be. You know what I'm saying? I was thoroughly excited. That's what made it more exciting, that it was a really good game, and it came down to coaching, and that's that was another thing in the video. I talked about hey, good players can get you through some moments, but coaching gets you through the tough moments. And so all of our coaches just did a phenomenal job being real dialed in, just again, we didn't miss anything. There's times you miss stuff, and it's unfortunate. And I'm a stickler on everybody. You have to be so laser focused on whatever the responsibilities we give you on game day. You got to be razor focused, and we were able to do that. Everybody was on their job. We communicated very well, and so, like I said, in a tough game, we were able to pull it out. And that's hats off to our players, hats off to our coaches. That's hats off to the whole organization. It really does take a village to make these things happen. But no, Nashville did a phenomenal job. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Arbet, and like I said, be interesting to see what they do for next year.
Take off your coach hat for a second. Put on your GM hat. As an executive, someone who wants to obviously see the league succeed. Obviously, we all do. Having a championship game be 60-57 the kind of the final thing that people see from AF1 for the inaugural season. Do you feel that was a good way to kind of show like the fans like, hey, this is what this can be. This is exciting. It's nonstop action. It's and then to top it off, you have a really great game between two really good teams.
Absolutely, and let's unpack that, because this is a great topic, and it's something that we need to get out there more. Um, yeah, and all of the kind of madness that happened, and the people that were running the show going into 2025. It's a great, huge process. I think everybody wants people to build a business and it to be perfect from day one.
Yes.
And that's just unrealistic. And so, we had our few bumps on the roads, in the preseason. So some teams dropping, those type of things. And so, for me, from a coaching side, I just want to be in a season where I can plan my schedule early and it stays that way. So that's from the coach. From the GM side, it's helping and assisting whatever needs to be done to get us to that point. And so all of the meetings that we have, all of the Zoom calls that we do, all of these things are getting all of us professionals together to put ideas together to make sure that our product continues to get better. We have the right individuals involved at this point. So having Commissioner Fisher speaks for itself. 22 years as an NFL coach. That is phenomenal to have somebody that's been at the highest level, that's seen all the ups and downs of the business, to be the guy that's kind of guiding us through it. So that's first. Can't say enough about Gary Compton, the head of football operations, guy that was a phenomenal AFL player, coach. He's done it all. He loves the game. And in our meetings, in our communications, anytime I need to get a hold of him, he's going to pick up the phone. I call him at odd hours. I'm just that guy. I'm going to always call and ask things and do. He's always there. There's never a moment that, and that he sounds unhappy to do all the things that he does. That's the right people. Chrissy McEwen, Jerry Kurz. We have all these individuals that love arena football, and they're all doing a phenomenal job. So once you get the right group at the top, everything else is going to get better. So the funny thing is, okay, that had a couple of rocky moments in the year. We all know, everybody knows about the Corpus Christi thing, but everybody out there talking, oh, this is terrible, this and that, but they stabilized themselves, and all of the teams made it. Now, again, if you're expecting perfection on year number one, then okay, then maybe you feel that we did some kind of failing. But to us, from the inside, we got the group together. We started to build the system to put everything in place to make this a phenomenal football league, and it succeeded. And so the championship game was a culmination of all of that hard work, of everything that's put in it. And from here, we're only going to get better. So the one thing that it just displeases me is any time that we're talking bad about inside football. So that includes the other leagues, but the special league is, and everyone knows it, is arena football is the special side. Why? Because it's been played since 1980s. It's been played at the biggest arenas with the top players, with the most money guys owning these teams, with Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones on a team to Tom Benson from the Saints owning the. It's been done at the highest level with the
Let's
biggest.
not forget John Bon Jovi with the Philadelphia
Bon Jovi.
Soul.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, there's.
but you're right though. You get these famous people, owners, celebrities, musicians owning these teams.
Well, it's kind of starting to pop up now.
But that's the point is, so we've, we to be a part of a whole league and building it's a huge process. It just isn't like you just snap your fingers and everything works itself out. So we've stabilized that. All the teams finished the season. Everybody took care of business. And so again, that's a huge accomplishment for us to finish that way. Now, are there things that we've learned along the way to make it better in the future? 1,000%. And we're making those corrections now. But at the end of the day, we're starting to attract the right people. Obviously there was 2 expansion teams that were announced. You see Gruden, moving back in, Darryl Walter. You start to see these,
Michael. Yeah, DW is a little older than that, but Michael, yeah.
But so you start seeing some of these names pop up. There's a lot of the, top end coaches that are now starting to apply for jobs and these things. So as you see us moving forward, it's right now it's just all about quality. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. So we're going to make sure that the quality of this game is top notch. And so I see, especially some of these other leagues, and I get it, we're some kind of way of competition. There's a couple things that just rub me the wrong. First off, there's only so many levels for guys, the multitude of guys that come out of colleges to find a place to build value. You've got the NFL that very few people will ever reach. You've got the CFL and UFL. The CFL's got restrictions of how many Americans, and so where are they going to go first? Guys that get cut from the NFL. You got the UFL. Where's the first place they're going to go? Guys get cut from the NFL, and then they're going to fill in space. The next level down is us. So think of how few jobs there are to build value to move yourself back up. So anytime any coach, any owner, any of those people from these other leagues or other teams badmouth the business, it hurts us all, because at the end of the day, all these kids need a place to play. If you start, not that there can't be friendly rivalry, some competition, we're fighting for some of the same stuff. I get that, but these kids need a place to play. So if you continuously bad talk out in public, the casual fan doesn't understand these things. So the casual fan's like, that sounds like drama. I'm not going to go. Right. That hurts every single one, because what hurts us hurts you too. And I never understand that. So I've heard it all this year. I hear, coaches from other leagues telling guys that, their league has the best talent in the country. And I'm just like, you're out of your mind. I know the Albany Firebirds have some of the best talent in the country. And that's bar none.
No, I agree. And I was actually going to ask you that question, something along those lines. I mean, listen, Adam and I watch every game this season, in terms of what Albany is involved with, plus other teams. There's a lot of good players in this league.
And not only that, there've been some stuff online. There's a team, I can't remember if it's the IFL or the Beaumont Renegades in Texas.
Former NAL,
NAL, right? And it's like, so there's like, well, they're leaving that league. Well, does that mean maybe they're coming to the AF1? You know what I mean? Like there's this back and forth of like, maybe hey, teams are trying to get to go to AF1 because they know it's successful, and like you just talked about with having Commissioner Fisher and things like that.
It's only going to get better. I mean, we're in a really good place, and like I said, I just, that's my pet peeve. I have players that I recruit, and if I feel that you're a better fit for a different game, I will let you know it. There's running backs call, no, coach, I'll move to receiver. You know what? You'd be better in one of these other leagues that has a true running back. There are so many players out there. If we're at that point where we're gonna tell fibs to get players, then we probably should be in a different business.
No,
there are so many players out there. I'm not need to lie and tell you anything, all these bold statements that I've heard a lot of lately. And like I said, it just kind of irks me. So it's just something I'm going to just keep speaking my mind on. Everybody knows I'm transparent, but no, there is no one league that has the outright most talent except for the NFL. So any of us underneath the NFL, all of us have talent. All of us have players from good places. So if that's your recruiting tool is to say that your league has all the talent and other leagues don't, it's not even true. And any player that hears that should question that coach's ability to lead if that's what they need to say.
Anytime you say anything bad about another coach or an organization, I mean, that's a red flag already.
It's just silly to me. And so, but like I said, I've told people all along, and hey, call me cocky, whatever. I would play any team in the country in any of those leagues. I don't think we'd lose to any of them. And that's just the way I feel. We designed this team, we construct this team and just piece by piece, bit by bit, by some really good evaluation. Like I said, could we play in a league with different rules and win? Absolutely, we could. If those teams played in our way of doing things, we'd annihilate them. So, and like I said, I will say, back in the day that there was this struggle between indoor football and arena, and I was part of it. When I was on the other side, I looked at the game and well, it's a little different. And think that you got it all figured out. I've been on both sides, and I can tell you my favorite rules are the Arena Football League rules. I can tell you that now. Is there some things that make the game easier on the other side? Sure, because the defenses are what you would see outside. So the original, when indoor football first started, they used the CFL rule book as kind of a guide. And now they've changed rules here and there. But the original, when indoor football first started, back in the 90s, it was the rule book came right from the CFL, and that's where a bulk of the rules came from. So you can take a young quarterback and cover twos, cover two, cover threes, cover three, and you can put them in indoor football because the rules are it makes the game a little more similar to outside football. Ours is different, and that's what makes it special, though. It's if you're going to be in a niche sport, shouldn't it be a sport that stands alone?
Yep.
And that's I keep telling people that, and I was the same way. I cannot, like I said, I'm a transparent person. I was on the indoor side and got offered a job to move over, and I was like, no, I don't think I really like those rules. I don't this, I don't that. And I thought I had it all figured out. And then when I came on this side, and it's just like anything else. It's the game evolves, the game changes. You run different offenses. It's just like anything else. It's something different. So once you get into it and start investing your time into it and learning it, then I was like, I absolutely love these rules. And so our game is so much more exciting.
Well, just look at the end of the championship game. Without the Nets, that play would have basically meant nothing. But because there could have been a bar ball,
yep,
that changes everything. It's just that's huge.
I'll say it this way. I like the difference. I like the fact that Arena has some different rules because, like you said, it does make it special. I'd also like the league, and this is a thing for the league. Print your rule book. Let us know what exactly is happening, because there are sometimes when you look at it and you're like, unless you really are in it, you might see something happen in the field and go, and it confuses the fans. Like, what happened here? So just.
I guess I feel, from a coaching standpoint, I feel a little indifferent on that. It's not like you go up on the NFL page and print off the NFL rule book and start reading the rules. You watch the game and you figure it out as long as you go. I don't know if it's necessary that
all right.
Because there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't know, and it's somewhat proprietary at times. There's rules that you add and subtract and that are different. And I like I said, I've never thought that you have to release the rules. I would definitely do a Q&A class or something. If
they need to do a better job of explaining what's happening on the field.
Because it is different. It's not
that's all it is.
Outdoor football that we're all used to.
I would definitely hold a question and answer night, or get an auditorium or something and go over some basic rules or things, or any questions somebody had. That I would do. I sometimes I think, today's fans just want everything. You know what I mean? And I don't, like I said, does that really take away the game if you don't know the exact rules? Now, for official, football aficionado, obviously you want to know all the details. I get that. But for the casual fan,
probably.
You don't care
probably
about
not.
the rule. Like, and again, are you really going to read that whole rule book? You got this big old rule. Are you going to read it and really decipher parts of the game?
The one question that I had just watching at the very end of the game, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you have Wade Deep. What are you like? Where are you allowed to position your players at a kickoff returner? Were you in theory allowed to have a second deep man in case there was a bounce?
You can do whatever you want. It's like any other special teams outside. Everybody lines up in some kind of similar fashion, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't do something else.
I just didn't know if that was like a thing or not. That's
obviously when you're thinking onside kick, we're going to obviously protect that. That's obviously the most important.
Right.
All we need to do is get the ball, and again, we didn't even have a Rouge rule this year, so you don't even have to get the ball out of the end zone. So, of course, I can send one person back, especially somebody as fast as Wade.
Yeah, right.
Hey, if for some reason this ball gets kicked and knocks off, we'll send one person back. But our first thing is to protect an onside kick at that moment. So if the ball, and just like any other kickoff, once that ball it goes high and we know that ball's kicked deep, then we can obviously break off and do other and get other responsibilities. But at that point in the game, it's at the end of the game. An onside kick is coming, and so you have to protect that first. And so at the end of the day, but you can't be like I said, you just never know. There are some kickers that can pretty much kick a bar ball on demand. And so, you do that, the ball bounces back and you got nobody back there and one guy chasing the ball could be problematic. But, at the end of the day, it's like anything else I do. It's with the analytics is what are my analytics going to tell me? My analytics going to tell me they will kick the onside kick. And you know what? I'm going to be ready for that. I'm not really worried about them kicking the ball.
So I got so to kind of move on a little bit, after this season has ended, we've seen guys that, were here and like you said, you're still working out all the other stuff coming up in the next couple of months of who could be back, will be back, should be back. And when we got Sam Casanova and Isaiah Scott are both down in Tulsa playing for the Tulsa Oilers. How does it work in terms of, is it like, okay, like their contract, because it's all year contracts, ends here and then obviously they can do what they need to do, or does it work like that in terms of our end of it, or is it just kind of like, hey, you're free to do what you want because it's a different season?
Good question. Obviously that's that just brings up more hard feelings.
Oops. Oh boy.
Yeah, let me gather these thoughts and be a little bit politically correct.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to start anything, but it goes
back to, who says a lot of the things out there and talks about their league being the latest, greatest.
And here we are.
And then, but every single player that's signed from our league is phenomenal right now. So
you're right.
The funniest thing about that is I actually had a coach that got mad because they switched from the other league to our league and got mad and talked about recruiting and all this and that. And it's like, and I hope they're watching this because now y'all are signing all of our guys. All the stuff that you said is just a total contradiction because look at what y'all are doing.
Yeah.
Every one of our players is having a phenomenal performance over there, which now overshadows the fact that you guys ran out and told everybody that you were the best league in the country. So there's part of it that's obviously that I like. I like that people are having to put their foot in their mouth. That's part of it.
We're big fans of that.
Then there's a part of me that's like, after we do our players very well and take care of them and do all that, sometimes for me as a coach, I'd prefer them go home and rest their bodies and get prepared for the next chapter.
Sure, I can respect that.
There's a little bit of, contention just with that, but at the end of the day, when you're hot, you only have so many years that you can make money.
Yep.
And
that's it. Yeah.
But there, like I said, how we combat this problem is just make sure that our championship games are aligned closely with everybody else's. And so we'll, that's something that I will bring up obviously in the league meetings is let's make sure that our seasons align better with some of the competitors. That way this problem doesn't happen. And that goes both ways. That shouldn't kind of be the way. It's to me, it's weird. It's especially guys on our team that won a championship. So you won a championship, here you are celebrating, and then the next week you're playing for another organization. And again, like I said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Jones. We worked, together for about 3 years. So like I said, it's just a tough one. And so I don't, if it's a player and they're trying to make extra money, how can you say it's not the right thing for them to do? They're taking care of their families, and this business only provides so much. So in that regard, I don't have a problem with it. But like I said, we could combat that next year by aligning, make sure our alignments are closer to the same. That way this process won't even get started.
Initially, in terms of how long the season was supposed to go, without having some teams drop out, you would have been pretty close, no?
Yeah. And so now like I said, when it came down to fixing, some of the issues that went on, it was just the right thing to do.
Oh, 100%.
Like I said, it went the way that it should.
No, it was perfect.
I'm very pleased with how we ended the season, all that was put into it. All four of the playoff teams were teams that deserved it, that all could have won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good display, and that's all you want to see is your playoffs really would be the culmination of a really good set of teams. And so that was exactly what happened this year. All of the teams were very, very good. Southwest Kansas, Salina, Nashville, all of those teams deserved to be there. And so that was a fun part. But, like I said, next year, now that the business model is becoming more stabilized and we kind of have an idea of the process that needs to be put in place, I think obviously that we can also align our season a little closer. That way this problem doesn't happen. But I just, like I said, I hope somebody's watching that said all that information about players jumping into our, I don't know. Anyway, I hope they're watching, and I hope you have to put your foot in your mouth, because all of our players are having phenomenal performances over there in the other leagues. So.
100%.
You have to do anything on your side, so when next season rolls around, they're on good standing in terms of, from going one league to another, because some leagues like to have that kind of sorted out or documented.
So we used to, now again, this is, when you're just talking about all the rules that go into it, leagues that have been around longer have more rules, right? Because you kind of build your rules as you go. It's usually somebody breaking a rule that spurs you
right, responding to something.
And so we haven't had all that. So we haven't had that rule in place. But, like I said, we were in the NAL. Obviously, there was a year suspension for doing two situations. And the IFL had that rule for the longest time.
Okay.
And all of a sudden they don't have it anymore.
So
anyway, like I said, I just, I think we should all play nice in the sandbox. I think we should all support each other. We can be competitive a little bit, obviously, from league to league, but it shouldn't be in anything that's deterring people from watching the game or deterring players from playing certain places. It really should be about the game. And like I said, a little bit of banter back and forth is nothing wrong with that. But I just, like I said, there's some people out there that I just don't think you're doing the game justice by, coming out and making a bunch of negative statements. And so at the end of the day, I absolutely love the arena football rules. I love our league. I love that it's stabilizing. I love a lot of people that are pouring their hearts and soul into this, and all we're going to do is get better. So for anybody that thinks that, I see all these comments, oh, you guys should merge with another league and do all this. It will not need to happen, because we're in a really good situation and we're only going to get better. So I am phenomenally cannot wait for the 2026 season. We'll have Arena Football University that we'll have at some point. We went to Chicago last year. I think we're going back to Chicago this year. But just when you get all these professionals in the room and you go over all of these topics and things, and coaches have their own meetings and owners have their own meetings and GMs have their meetings, it's only going to get better. And the more that you share information and the more that we're able to teach each other things that are working across the country and all these things, it's only going to get better. And so at this point, finishing with all of the 8 teams and now announcing a couple more teams, we really can focus on quality. And like I said, and not worry about quantity as much. We're going to be in good shape. I really like the people that are up top, and I think they love arena football, and I think that's going to catapult us through any of the rough times. But like I said, people got to stop with the first year bit. Like, literally, go look up some statistics on first year businesses. First year businesses shut shop down, like 60% of the time in their first year. So The fact that this is not the league from the year before, and that's the distinction is there's been different people running arena football, over the years. The original one, Jerry Curtis has ran it. There's all these other individuals that have run it, but this one is new. This one is a year old, and so we met each other and assembled through the chaos of last year.
And not only did you start with 8, end with 8, you're going to end up adding at least 2 that they've already announced. Tell me about seeing expansion, but not seeing it so like, oh, we're not going to add another 8 teams. Right now, it's only just 2 that they've said. I think Michigan and Ohio, maybe Cincinnati. I don't know if that's public. I think somebody said it. Jeff Levac. I think
he really didn't though.
No,
he didn't.
No,
I don't think that.
I think he was joking around with a bunch of people, but no. But I mean, Michigan and Ohio, like 2 great states. Obviously, some tremendous football. And what do you think about the fact that it's going to be at least 2, but we're not going to like a 16 team or something like that?
Yeah, like I said, I know there's other teams applying and things, but it's just the process. I think that everybody has realized what we need to be focusing on to make sure that we don't have any missteps later. So the vetting process is obviously improved and those type of things. And so they're doing a phenomenal job of making sure that we've got the right people owning these football teams. And there's a lot of good names that are popping back up. And so we know we're on the right track. I just can't stress that enough. This was the first year of a business. It wasn't, you can't lump us in with everybody else because, just because some of the teams played in last year's league, we had to come together to finish the year. And it ended very, very well with all the craziness that happened last year. So that was somebody else's business model. And we came together at the end. So we took that continuity, those of us that wanted to continue on, and it's a whole different business. And so we were a first year business. I think that with the couple hiccups and the way we ended, pretty phenomenal ending for year number 1, a first year business. Going into year number 2, okay, you can have a little harsher opinion in year number 2 because if we didn't learn anything from year number 1, then be a little harsher. Next year, your criticism can move up a little bit. But at the end of the day, give us a chance to fix our mistakes. To put processes in place that ensure that we've got the right people across the board and give us a chance to build. None of these other leagues that have been around for years were great there in year number 1. It's been a process. We've got other leagues that had to merge with other leagues to make their current leagues. We've had people switching back and forth. So let's be a little kinder to the process. Nobody else was great year number 1.
No, I think it's in a great place.
I think it's in a phenomenal place. So anybody that's thinking that we're not in good footing, that's just you, whatever grind,
wanting something bad to happen.
Extra grind that you have against somebody or whoever. I see it totally differently. I think we're in a great place. I think we've got great people at the top of this. We're building processes that are sustainable. We're bettering our vetting process. We're bettering the process all across the league. We'll get together in a year and have meetings with all our different groups, share knowledge, come up with better ways to do things, come up with all kinds of ideas to make the game more exciting. And again, we're just getting started. So literally, we were a first year operation. Can't lump us into any other group because they weren't part of this group. First year, we're only going to get better year after year. I am excited for 2026.
And we're excited for 2026 also. This is the end of our first year as well, and we appreciate you and all the players and coaches and everybody that we've interviewed and helped out and worked with us, and it's been a fun ride, and we look forward to doing it over again in 2026.
Like I said, I'm here. So anytime you guys need me to pop on and give out some information or talk about things that are going on, I'm all for it. You guys did a phenomenal job. I couldn't be more proud of what you guys have done. I mean, it's just been phenomenal. You guys have got through all of our players, all of our coaches. I mean, for a first year, idea, This was great. You guys very well exceeded my expectation of what you guys were
I
doing.
appreciate
So,
that.
Excellent.
Our goal.
We have a high standard. Damon, you have a high standard. We have a high standard.
Well, I mean,
right on.
It's been great. We can't thank you. We can't thank the Firebirds organization enough. We have some things we're working on, that we're going to hopefully bring the show to the next point, whatever that is. I mean, again, not to bore everyone with the details, but we started out with 2 laptops, no mics. It's been a hell of a ride, and we were able to raise $1,000 for the Center for Disabilities just by having your guys sign the helmet. So again, thank you. And that's, I don't know, I just can't say thank you enough.
And we'll be back. We have some more interviews. So we're not, we're just going into season 2. We got some more interviews going on, and we have, some events going on. Coach Cisse has his champ camp coming up at soon. I believe in maybe next month. I can't remember exactly. He's still working some of that out. We want to definitely do something with that. So we will be back. You will see the nest.
I'll be there. Like I said, I support everything he does. I'll always be there to support. My guys are my guys. You guys are my guys. So anything you need, I'm there for you. And any of my coaches, anybody that still lives here, they know one call is all you need to make, and I'll be there. So.
Excellent. Well, good luck. Good luck at Hudson Valley as well. If we don't get a chance to talk to you before that, and with that, we end season 1 with a fun little outro video. We will see you guys later.